Right. Now, welcome
What up?
to the Xceleration Fitness Podcast, number 3 for the year 2018. And today, get ready to laugh your ass off as we have my best friend, former teammate, and now the web content and social media coordinator for Olympic Wrestling, Mr. Eric Olanowski.
What's up, Eric? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man.
Very
Thanks
good,
for
very
joining
good.
us,
Thank
dude.
you.
Thanks for joining us. Before I get into this, John Pep, I always check in with you.
I'm good,
How's the week
Just like
going?
last week and the previous week and the week before that.
All right, cool.
How about you?
My week's going great, man. I got sleep last night for the first time in a while, so I'm feeling really, really good right now.
There we go.
But the reason we have today's guest on, guys, this guy is a state – did I say state? I mean national champion wrestler from Virginia Beach, Virginia. He also really has climbed the ladder of success at his role at an extremely, fast rate. So we wrestled in college, and while we wrestled in college, he kind of got into broadcasting a little bit, worked with Big Ten Network. This is just looking for my aspect. And Eric started getting to announcing, and he was still coaching wrestling, still kind of hanging out, but he was doing the Big Ten wrestling a little more like being the speaker. So I'm like, wow, this is cool. Next thing I know, seriously, within 6 months of that, he's announcing at the Big Ten tournament. And then he's announcing at the national championships. Then he's announcing, he went to as far as he went to the Olympics as the web content coordinator for social media for Olympic wrestling, right?
Yep.
So, I've never seen it happen that fast. That was in a 3-year span. And now his full-time job is traveling the world, going to the biggest wrestling tournaments in the world and working there. He's doing what he loves, lives his passion, and that's the kind of people we want to have in the show. But Eric, if I probably did a terrible job describing that, could you kind of give us insight on your whole journey to where you are now?
Yeah, so I started back in 2012, and I wanted to stay in wrestling. Growing up, and my coaches would get pissed because I would constantly be calling matches while I was wrestling in practice. Would pull me aside, and he's like, "Hey, you're making kids, feel little because when you take them down, you're yelling too." And so I would always kind of broadcast my matches, and I got a call from the director of broadcasting for Michigan State for the Big Ten Network one day, and he's like, "Hey, Roger Chandler told us that you liked calling matches while you were wrestling as well. So what are your thoughts on it?" And I didn't have any experience, and it was kind of scary. And one thing I live by is, success you hear is failure is not an option. But for me, failure is always an option because you don't get anywhere with doing the same stuff day in and day out. So I knew I wanted to challenge myself and take on this new role. And from there, it's just continued to grow. So I started in 2012 with, and I had this saying in my wallet, and I looked at it every single day, and it was take over the city, take over the state, take over the country, take over the world. And those 4 things necessarily didn't mean I wanted to rule the world, but I wanted to take little steps to where I wanted to be, and that ultimate goal was the Olympic Games. So I started with Michigan State, then I went to, so that was the city part. And then the state part was University of Michigan. I've called their duels for 3 years, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, and Michigan. So I locked up the state. The next part was the country, which I went on to the NCAAs and called the finals for ESPN, and then ultimately to the Olympic Games for the world governing body of wrestling, United World Wrestling. So it's been, little things here and there, but it all started, taking it step by step.
Yeah, steps really fast. That's like a sprint,
awesome.
Man. That's crazy. That's awesome. That's so good to see. So we're going to do what we do on every podcast and ask Eric the same questions that we've been asking our other guests. And he does not know these questions, so it's right off the top of the dome, and we'll see where he goes. Question number 1. What is the book or books? Sorry.
You good, man?
I grew up in college with this guy, so when I talk about books, it just makes me laugh. What is the book or books you've given most as a gift, and why? What's 1 to 3 books that have greatly influenced your life?
Oh, man. Dude, I've worked 29 years to build my street cred, and you're going to do this to me. So, the books I read are really – I love cooking. It's a big part of my life. You guys, know with eating healthy and doing what you do, that eating's a big part of not only – it's it's how you feel every day. It affects your sleep, your attitude, all that. So I really took a liking to cooking, especially in college. So I read a lot of cookbooks. So like Anthony Bourdain, he has a couple of cookbooks that I really gravitated to. I would say Bobby Flay has a good book that I'm reading right now. It's Bar Americana. So I just so I'm trying to elevate my cooking game for my sauces. So that's what I'm reading. And then charcuterie, which is the art of like curing and salting meats and fish and stuff. So those are books that I'm reading right now.
So with you traveling the world, you probably get this. I mean, that's got to be really cool for you because you get to experience all the different foods and different cultures.
Yeah. I was in Paris and like, I won't say no to anything. So I would go to this restaurant every night. I was there for 7 days and I would just tell them, hey, bring whatever. I never knew what I would eat. And I'll send you a picture after this. This one thing looked gross. I still have no clue what it was. And it was little circles. And I think it was fish eggs, but I have no clue what it was. So I just ate it. And I mean, you ever watch the Anthony Bourdain or Andrew Zimmern? And they're like, we don't say no to anything. So I've kind of taken a liking to that and went along with it.
That's such a wrestler thing too. It's just be obsessed with food.
Dude, it's terrible. I grew up like he was my roommate and we'd be cutting weight and he'd always have on freaking Diners, Drive-Ins, Dives. I was like, dude, shut this off. But he watched it 24/7. Right. That's awesome. That is really cool.
All right. Question number 2. What purchase of $100 or less within the last year or so, could be anything from a product to an experience, whatever, that has impacted you the most?
$100?
$100 or less.
Grammarly. So I started, I with my new position, well, it's not new, but with my position, I have to cover wrestling from a writing standpoint. So Grammarly, it connects to your word and you just write and I'm so bad at writing that it pops up with like all the underlines and all that. So that's one of them that has really helped me because I'm getting this out to thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So I don't want to look like an idiot. So that, and then with all my travel, I bought a translator app and you just pick the language and cool. Funny story. So you just pick the language and it translates everything for you. So when I got to France, I got in this cab and this guy was kind of sketchy, but they had sent him to pick me up. And I kind of felt weird, so I just turned on the translator app while he was on the phone, and I was translating everything that he was saying. So we get to the hotel, and I'm like, you could just drop me off here. And he kept like, no, you're okay. He locked the doors, and I felt really claustrophobic. And so I had this app on, and he calls this guy, and he's saying, I don't want to let him out of the car. So I locked the doors, and he doesn't know that I'm translating.
What?
Yeah, so he's saying he's like he's a photographer for the Federation and I'm going to keep him for as long as I can until I get an answer. And I'm reading all this and I'm like
okay, so what happened?
So he takes me to the arena and we go underground, which like you would have thought I was the president. They take me, I was literally in a car 100 feet from where these guys are about to wrestle. Like, what are we doing here? I'm here to update Twitter and you have me in the basement of an arena in a car.
Oh my God.
So finally he lets me out, but I'd say that was a good purchase. I still use it whenever I go.
I'm going to save your life. Jesus. Yeah. All right. Yeah, and Grammarly too I use a lot, by the way.
I need that one.
Oh my God, it's awesome. That. All right. So how has a failure or apparent failure set you up for later success? Do you have a favorite failure of yours?
Failure. Yeah. I said earlier, like failure is an option for me just because you grow so much when you fail and people are always so afraid to fail. And I think that's where how I've got to where I am today is being so open to when people say, hey, do you want to do this? And I don't have, there's no fear. There shouldn't be any fear from that standpoint, because if I fail, I know there's two things. They're probably never going to invite me back, and I can grow from it, or I can embrace it and continue to learn from it. But I was running a couple of websites probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it was just like an extreme failure because I was following what everybody else wanted me to do. It was always, you need to do this, this, and this, and we're going to do it on, on my basis. And I would do what other people wanted me to do, and I wasn't getting anywhere because first off, I wasn't happy because I was doing what somebody else wanted me to do, and I wasn't getting anywhere because, you hired me to creatively, like my creative vision, and then you're telling me I need to do X and Y, which is completely taken away from where I want to be. So heading into my role at the Olympic governing body of wrestling, like I took that up front. I said, hey, if you're going to hire me, it's going to be on my terms. I want to do what I want to be able to do. And they have completely given me the keys to the car, and it's worked out now because I'm happy and I'm putting out what I want to put out. So that failure has helped me a lot.
It's awesome.
That is awesome.
Good.
Yeah, that's damn.
All right. Number 4. So if you could have a giant billboard anywhere, it could say anything. It could be a quote, just a picture. It could be whatever you wanted to say. What would it say, or what would it be, I guess?
Ooh. Where would it be? What would it be? Be patient, I guess. People want it. Like I said, the take over the city, state, country, and world. That wasn't for me to take over the world. It wasn't like a world plot plan, but it was to constantly remind myself to be patient, that you can't make it to the NFL if you've never done what the steps that you need to get there. So be patient. People want it so fast. It doesn't happen overnight. Mm-hmm. You have to be consistent. You have to constantly show up, and I hate the term hard work, because what hard work means to you is not what it means to me, but you have to be patient. It's not all going to come. You have to be consistent. So I would say be patient.
Like it. I do like that one a lot, because that's simple. The number one thing. I think if everybody had more patience, they would see people. I think a lot of arguments would be solved if they were patient too, because usually everyone's coming from the right spot, but it's always heated argument, like quick, I want this now kind of thing. So I think patience goes a long way, man. All right. What is the best or most worthwhile investment you've ever made? It could be money, time, energy.
Man.
Let's not say that. Let's not say that. Maybe the best in the past 6 months. How's that? Make it easier for you.
Bitcoin.
Really?
Second.
Oh, come on, dude. You're
the second person in a row
over here.
No. Yeah, right. How about I wonder about that.
Yeah.
With the Bitcoin giveaways and all that. No.
Hold up. Did you see his Rolex the other day?
I don't know if all this is true. Like, he posts like $800,000 worth of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's dropping drastically. And I want to say I put like $600-700 into it a couple months ago, but I did the smaller one. So I think I made probably $400 or something, but I pulled it out before it started to drop. But I wouldn't say that would be the best investment. A computer, like making sure that, I have the newest technology, because I'm constantly on my phone and constantly on my computer. So making sure that I'm up to speed, because I write so much. It's ridiculous. Like, the one habit that I have is writing. I write everything down. I make my wife do it too. So I would say my computer would be my best investment.
What kind of computer do you have?
Sense.
MacBook.
Yeah. I'm actually talking on a MacBook right now because of Eric Olanowski, because you bought this for me, right? Didn't I get it through your mom? Through like some of the...
Oh, yeah. The Navy Exchange.
Yes.
My dad was in the military, so like you get special deals and crazy discounts.
This guy, I'm trying to tell, because ever since I got my MacBook, I've done so much more writing, so much more things easier. And this guy's
There's nothing wrong with my computer.
He's still looking around at
There's nothing wrong with it.
All right. Just saying.
Hey, if you need one, my mom will go. For a small fee, let me know.
All right, so next one. What is an unusual habit or an absurd thing that you love to do? Anything just wacky or crazy?
Just pick one because you got a bunch of them.
Yeah. I write everything down. Like
Literally everything?
Like, look at this. This is just around me. These are all books that are filled with me and that I still have 2 more right here. I heard something that you're 80% more likely to hold yourself accountable when you write stuff down. So
you write it all down.
I write it all down. I've been doing it for like 5 years since I graduated college. Just little reminders. Like I have stuff that I find from 5 years ago, and like, even if it's jokes, I think one of these books are actually from 5 years ago.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you ever throw away your notebooks, or is it just laying around?
No. If I was to go in my closet, I have 20 back there. I have 1, 2. There's 6 that I have right here. I just, to hold myself accountable, I write stuff down, and I think even for parenting, like for my goals, I'm very big into goal setting. So the beginning of the week I started out, and sometimes I start my days out by writing stuff down. So it's not really a weird habit, but it's just most people don't write stuff down. So that's one thing that I do.
We've heard that before. A lot of successful people do it, man. Everyone I've talked to,
everybody,
especially, do you have stuff like apps on your phone that do that? Because I personally tried like apps and all that kind of stuff, but writing it down is by far the best way.
I mean, like little reminders I'll write down, but for accountability purposes, putting like the pen to the paper is really big for me. And just to go back and look at it.
Here's a good one for you, Eric. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
It's goal setting. Back to it. Like writing stuff down, writing the goals down. I listened to a podcast. It's a Church of What's Happening Now, with Joey Diaz. And it's kind of crazy. The stuff they do on the side, I mean, they just.
What are we talking about? Like
extracurricular activities they do.
Okay.
It's that stuff is, I put that to the side, but the beliefs that Joey has instilled in me. And I've talked to him a lot. Went to see him when he comes here to Michigan. I always go see him.
What's his name?
Joey Diaz.
I've never heard of
Joe Rogan's voice.
Ah,
yeah.
Right. First.
So I go see him, and I call him my uncle just because he's helped me so much. Like writing with goals, and not only the goal setting, but like even he's changed my mindset on, and you guys probably like jealousy is human. It's human nature to be jealous. And one thing as a comedian, he's instilled in me is he's always happy for everybody else. So it doesn't matter what other people have. It's just he stays positive and he focuses on himself and really worries about what he can control. So, I mean, you guys, like being on social media, you see the followers that other people have, like, oh, I want that. Like he's instilled in me that you have to focus on what you want in order to be happy for yourself. If you want other people to believe in you, but you don't believe in yourself, how are you going to get to that next level? And for me, like that's one thing that he's instilled through, I mean, with the goal writing process and just little things from that. I kind of went off on a tangent there. But
no, this is good. It's really good. I think a lot of people need to hear that, because especially in our fitness industry, dude, jealousy is, I mean, it's out there for sure. But I think one thing we kind of pride ourselves with Xceleration is that we'll go to other gyms and we'll promote them, and we're all on the same page of trying to, I mean, the competition isn't the gym next door. The competition is the fast food restaurants and the things that are literally killing our people. So,
yeah. And especially with wrestling, I mean, I look back, being a wrestler, I always look back at like, you know, when did my career change? And I tell my kids this. It's not, you have to stop with the pointer finger and you have to start going with the thumb, because you can continue to look at everybody else and wonder what they're doing, but you're never going to get anywhere in life until you start looking back at yourself. And my kids.
That's good stuff, man. If this mic was so expensive, I'd drop it. That's good, man. Good. But hey, just catch you up on, he mentioned his daughters a few times. Eric has 2 twin daughters who are freaking hilarious. They have a show on Facebook right now. How old are they?
They're 6.
Yeah.
6,
and a really
that's
interesting thing, we won't get into too much detail, but Eric became a father his senior year of college wrestling. So he's managing all that. And I mean, to get to where he is now is truly remarkable.
Grew up fast. Damn. All right, next one. So you've been out of school for a while. So what advice, kind of looking back and what you've learned just through your career so far, what advice would you give to, a driven college student who wants to succeed but maybe doesn't know how? Just, it could be anything, business, life, anything.
A couple things. Like, people don't want things done necessarily the way you want them done. So, I mean, people always say you get a degree in X. It all comes back. Like, I was never a broadcaster. I didn't get a degree in broadcasting, and I came into it. And people are always going to ask, what was the question again? Sorry.
What would you give to a college kid's graduating, and what's your advice for him right now? He's in college, senior year.
All right, I'll start with this because I have this on my mind. You don't always have to get paid.
Ooh.
Because I've done a lot of things for free, and still, I was with somebody a couple weeks ago, and they said, you have to tell young kids to stop doing stuff for free. I don't agree with that, because I've got to where I am today because people want to see, they want to give you an opportunity, and they want to see that you're there for the right reasons, just not for a paycheck. So for an example, it was, what was it? One of the tournaments, it was a big tournament. And I contacted these people and I reached out and they said, hey, we don't have a budget for this. I want to do it for free. And I ended up, it was for United World Wrestling. And I ended up getting a full-time job because they saw that I can show up, I can do a good job, and it wasn't all about the money. And the money will come later. So just follow your passion. And even if it's not in your degree, follow your passion and figure out what you want to do. And don't be afraid to do stuff for free. People are always worried about the money. At the end of the day, money doesn't matter. Yeah, it pays the bills, but worry about the passion before you worry about the paycheck.
Damn.
Worry about the passion before the paycheck.
Whoever's listening to this, hopefully you take it to your kids and play it non-stop, like 10 times, get it in their head. Because I just had a meeting with John, and you see it a lot with, I mean, how am I getting compensated for this? What am I this? You can't really focus on that, especially in your industry and the fitness industry, man. You got to work tons of hours for free. Not that you have to do it because it's like part of it, but just because that's where you find your passion. Like, I don't know, man. It's just.
Yeah. And when you start to worry about the paycheck, you lose that.
Yeah.
I don't talk money anymore I send them all my manager.
Kylie?
I told her, I said, it just becomes like you just become caught up in, I think I'm worth more. So I'm not going to do it because I'm worth more. When you could be getting experience and gaining valuable lessons, putting yourself in pressure situations, and that's just me. Some people might be like, this dude's crazy. Make sure you're getting paid, but
yeah. I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, Eric. I mean, this dude made it. He had twin girls in college. I mean, twin girls in college. I know Eric. I lived with him. Him and I could barely scrape money to go get beer. Like, we did not have money. So the fact that you came out of that, I really think you just kind of, I don't know, man. You find a way, right? Am I wrong? I mean, yeah.
No, I mean, I was a senior with 2 kids, and it was kind of scary because it was like maybe 20 hours, 21 hours a day. Cause people always say, what are you most proud of in your life? And I always tell them I never missed a single practice when I had 2 kids, full-time student, full-time wrestler, and I still had to find a way to bring money in. My mom, one of the biggest lessons I ever learned, it was the girls were maybe a month or 2 old, and my wife had to go back to work. I had to go to school. My mom gave me the first daycare payment. And she called me one day, and I think it was like $430. And she said, I'm going to give you this one payment. Don't ever ask me for another penny again. You got yourself in this situation. Find a way out. From that point on, I had to find a way to make money. So I knew I had not only rent to pay, but I also had $430 that I'm never going to see again. And that was one of the best lessons you got to get out there and grind. And that's why I'm here today, is because my mom called me that one day and she said, you're on your own, bud. You got yourself in this situation. Find out how you're going to get it out.
I can't even begin to. That is freaking awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, like to put yourself in a situation, guys. Like my son is 7 weeks old. Dude, there's no sleep. Like, I mean, it's tough for me. And I have a house. My wife is staying there to go to school and then to go to wrestling practice, which a college wrestling practice is going to like just completely drain you of your energy to do all that and to go to school. Michigan State, I mean, it's not the easiest school. So that's awesome, man. All right, moving on. What are bad recommendations you hear in your profession or expertise?
Don't do stuff for free.
There we go. There we go.
Simple. All right. In the last 5 years or even more recently, what have you become better at saying no to? Or, what approaches or realizations have helped?
My family life. I've always, like with my mom, I mean, one thing that I've really focused on this year is like building traditions with my family. So my mom has, I've always had to go home for Christmas and Thanksgiving, and Virginia's a 13-hour drive. So my mom would expect us to be there. And finally this year I said to my mom, like, if I want to create traditions as a family, like my family, because one day when you guys are gone, we're not going to have any family traditions. So I said no to my mom finally after 6 years of traveling home during the holidays. And then my kids, I don't say no enough to them. So finally starting to say no to them, I would say.
All right. Okay. Those are 2 big ones. Okay.
Last question.
Last question before the fire round, because the fire round's fun. We didn't tell you about that one. Sorry. What do you do when you're unfocused? How do you get back?
So in the late 90s and early 2000s, I started meditating. I was in karate in Japan. So I grew up in Tokyo, and a big part of Japanese culture and martial arts is meditation. So kind of you just lose yourself if you ever become like unfocused. Just take 10 minutes and really focus on your breathing, and like from your toes to the top of your head is what my sensei used to always say. So like focus on from your toes to the top of your head. So even when I'm stuck in pressure situations, because I always like tell my wife and tell my kids, you judge an individual how they react when faced with 2 things: when they're stuck in a pressure situation and when they're faced with adversity. So really stepping back and being able to focus from the top of your head to your toes is what I do. And I mean, I do it every morning. When I wake up, I usually get in the shower and I stretch while I'm in the shower. It's kind of weird. And then I take 10 minutes to myself every morning just to focus on my breathing.
I like it.
I love it, man. So many people we've had on the show meditate, and I meditate a lot too. So I'm trying to get this guy to do it, but he's too cool. Yeah. All right, Eric, here we go. The fun stuff. Can pineapples go on pizza?
Yeah. Don't offend me. No, absolutely not.
Thank you.
You put fruit on it.
Dude, I do it all the time. We get tonight. Go.
All right. Favorite movie all time?
Behind enemy lines.
Okay. Got excited there.
All right. You could be in a 90s music group. Who could you be in?
Oh my gosh, I saw him in concert. July 3rd, 1999, 98 Degrees. I caught a t-shirt. So it was moved back from Japan. It was either July 3rd, 99 or 2000. So I was moving back on July 4th, and I went to this concert, and it was the last day that I was going to be in Japan, and I spent the whole day first in line to see 98 Degrees. And
is that Nick Lachey?
No, that's Backstreet Boys, right?
I don't even know. I know they're similar, but I don't know who.
It's a great band. That's all I know. It's a great
yeah.
band.
All right, you're up. All right, next question. What is your favorite quote?
Damn it, that's what I was going to say.
That's the last phone one.
Oh, yeah.
No, I gotta run.
Yep.
Yeah, you judge an individual how they react in a pressure situation.
Okay.
I like it.
Pull out your phone. You on your phone?
Yep. Shoot.
Okay, go to your last text message for me.
All right.
And open up your emojis.
Got it.
Now, this column right here going down,
Yep.
read those off real quick.
All right. I got the crying face.
Okay.
Always use the crying face. What the hell? What is this for? I got a moon.
The moon. Okay.
I've never used the moon. I don't know what that. Oh, obviously I have. So I just lied. The gold medal.
Good.
The shrimp. I had shrimp and grits last night, and I must have been telling someone and a choo-choo train.
Who is that to?
I don't know.
No one's ever said those.
I know. That's really – we usually get like a laughing face, a heart.
Thumbs up.
The moon, train. So you got a lot going on. That's awesome.
Okay.
Last question.
Yeah.
Biggie or Tupac?
Oh, man. Biggie or Tupac?
It's always like a tough question.
I go Biggie.
Yeah.
Okay.
East Coast.
I actually had I just got Biggie socks.
There you go.
You know how
I've seen those.
Yeah. I got them for Christmas, and I was like, "What is this?" And then I opened them up.
Small space.
All right, Eric, we're going to wrap this podcast up. Thank you so much. Where can we find more of Eric Olanowski at?
All social platforms at Eric Olanowski, or you can follow United World Wrestling at United World Wrestling or Wrestling.
What's your next tournament at?
Krasnoyarsk, Russia, the middle of Siberia. I leave in 2 days.
Bro, damn.
Negative 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
Have fun.
Damn.
It's not going to be fun.
That's not good. That's not good. Well, hey, thank you so much, Eric. I'll be seeing you soon, brother. Have fun.